And what we've learned today also with that gentleness that each of our panelists have so wonderfully spoken from. So who has a question? Thank you.
Thank you all. This was a wonderful panel. But I have a tough question for each of you. Where is the line where it would be okay to kill somebody?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the Ten Commandments. Sometimes it's misinterpreted, but the commandment really is thou shalt not murder, not thou shalt not kill. Because God in his infinite wisdom understood there are times when killing is necessary, but when murder is not. And murder is never necessary, and so therefore the commandment says don't murder. But when is killing okay? It's also understood that we kill to eat. We kill for self-defense. So we kill by accident. There are different methods of which killing is permissible. But when you're talking about what you're talking about, we're talking about murder. And when you say things that are defamatory or inflammatory or defaming, that's murder. Because not only are you killing a person outside, but you're killing the inside of that person as well. That's murder.
Yes, as Jesus said, you've heard it said, thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit murder. And there's an attitude. And he says, but I say to you, if you call somebody a fool, if you show the next driver the middle finger, okay, that you've committed murder in your heart, and you're endangering the fire of hell. Those are strong words. My nephew is a police officer. Mason, he was a police officer in Chandler. Across the course of a career, only about 15% of men and women who serve as law enforcement officers actually get into a gun battle. In the first year he was a police officer in Chandler, he had to kill somebody. And he was able to live with that. He actually handled it very well. And it was, he had to go on leave, and they examined it. What he did was necessary under the circumstances. And we're grateful for those who do protect us from people who are consummately violent.
I have to say this is not an easy question for me to answer. I'm an avowed pacifist, and
You wouldn't join them. You wouldn't be a sniper in
no, no. I have a great deal of compassion for those who are asked in the defense of others to take up arms, because I am deeply aware of what it does to your own psyche to be trained, conditioned, and permitted to take the life of another human being. It always comes at some cost to your own personal psyche. And I deeply regret that the structure of human culture exists in such a way that we rationalize, justify, and defend under some circumstances the taking of another human life. And I'm not naive enough to believe that my pacifism is going to create a set of circumstances where the justification of the taking of another life will ever be eliminated. And so I live with that. I have compassion for those who are asked to take lives in defense of others. It's hard for me, though, conceptually, psychically, and spiritually, to rationalize or justify under any circumstances the taking of another human life. I know that's a bit of an extreme position to take. I also am aware that that is a very privileged statement on my part. I've never been put in a position where I was forced to make such a choice. I don't know how I would react. I do know that if under those circumstances it meant the taking of a life to protect or defend, that I would be forever changed. I would never be the same person after. So it's a tough question for me to respond to.
I think when I talk about Saint and Soldier. Okay, there's a fine line. Our guru made it, and he said, when you are in danger, to protect yourself, and then you see your family and your community or somebody are danger, to protecting other people. If you feel like it's dangerous to anybody, to other community or any being a human, to dangerous to other, and you need to be stand up and do the right thing to do it. And that's the fine line. We know what we believe it, and because that's Sikh belief. All the Sikh believe it. Be protecting other people and protecting yourself. And if you feel like same thing, if you see this crossing the fine line, it's dangerous to anybody, being humans. So you get stand up and.
I'm just going to give you a quick view and ask your comments. I am more of an advocate for unfettered free speech. I go along with Rabbi Kinnaman more on that. And the main reason why is because it exposes these things. These feelings are out there. I would much rather have them see the light of day and have a forum like this discuss them, as opposed to have them swept under the rug and people pretend that they're not there. So I would much rather err on the side of free speech than on the side of censorship.
So in response to that, I would say I can't disagree with that. I'm very close to permitting unfettered free speech. Here's where I would draw the line. Let's take the pastor in Tempe. If, as a consequence or result of his calling for the killing of gay men, one of his members went out and actually killed a gay man, I think he should be considered an accomplice in the crime. I think it is a logical outcome to conclude that that speech affected and effected that outcome. Now, would I argue that he has the freedom from the pulpit to say those words? Yes, but he also better be willing to bear the responsibility of his actions and should calculate ahead of time what the possible consequences of that speech could be.
I 100% agree what John said. It's kind of your speech, freedom of speech, can motivate somebody else to kill or hate, and it should be stopped. And I think it be part of the whole thing. The person who was motivated by hate speech and they come out and do all those activities and kill and shoot people. And sometimes they don't understand themselves. They are fully, all these things happen all over the world. People blame themselves. Human bomb, right? What do you think, these people are normal? No. They are manipulated by the others. And those people, and if we take those people, okay, we have a freedom of speech and I can manipulate this person to try to make a human bomb. Is that right? Is that good for a freedom of speech? No. This person is the first, I think, degree murder person who gave them speech to do those things. I believe it. I grew up in India. And all those things happen in India, Pakistan, all those things, okay? All those young children, they never use their mind. They always manipulate with other people. And then the person who attacked in Bombay in India, they caught him. Why he did that? Because other people offered the money to support his family. And he willing to kill those people. And sometimes I feel that we have too much freedom of speech in this country also. And which one I don't know. And like, it's happened to me. Somebody using F word right in front of me and say, go back to your country. You don't know how much I heard? I know how much I heard. Right? Sometimes, even I'm working at my gas station. I own this gas station, I own this land, and you standing on my land and he's saying to me, go back to your country. You know, it's painful. And
This is your country.
Yes.
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 thank you.
It's your country. Yes. While the microphone's going around there, I would like to, I wanted to say something in response to that, because I've been doing a lot of thinking about this. The idea of how hate speech takes root and how actions that are very destructive come about and how people are manipulated or enticed into something, into believing it. And I'm thinking that what you said about there's a motive, like for the family, or also in my own thoughts that I've had recently, it's about desiring a sense of community. And perhaps in the world, we're not giving enough community so that community stems up and it's even a destructive community, if that makes any sense. So people are attracted to something because they feel they can be a part of something, and there's a community there. So what is our responsibility and our obligation to create more loving, kind, safe, beautiful communities in the world? And how do we do that in our world? Just a thought that I was waiting for the microphone, which is already there, so.
Thank you very much. I appreciate this panel and all this the atmosphere you created. It's wonderful. I wish we had all over the world like this. Very distinctive scholars, and including yourself, distinctive mediator, create all that. And very impressive points that you have made. I'm very impressed. But at the same time, I have a question to all of you guys. You guys give such impressive speeches, sermons. How do we create that love and peace? Nobody gave me that solution for it. How can we create the love and peace? We can talk days and our lives, but if we do not have a solution for it, we can just beating on the bush.
Thank you.
Yes, and I'm sure we have other comments here about this, but just for me personally, taking the time and the initiative to spend time with other people. You know, in Western culture, in America, Western culture, America's primarily Western culture, I don't think we have a good understanding. My background is German. And I spent a lot of time in the Hispanic culture. We love to use the term, how many of you have heard this expression? We need to spend some quality time together. How many of you have heard that?
Yeah.
Let me tell you something. There is no such thing as quality time. There's only one thing, time. And, so why do you want to get, somebody calls and says, hey, I'd like to have lunch. Well, why do you want to get together? I have no reason. I want to be with you. And that takes a lot of time. And I think leaders have a responsibility, as Paul Eppinger has, leaders need to take responsibility and take the time to engage with people. I've worked really hard on trying to build some bridges of relationship and then collaboration between evangelical Hispanic pastors and leaders and white evangelical pastors and leaders. And, we live in our own worlds, and it takes a lot of work and effort and time to spend time with people, and really to spend time with people that you don't feel completely comfortable with. You don't know what to talk about. I mean, I've spent so much time with Dr. Warren Stewart. I was raised in an all-white community. I appointed the chairman of the board of my church was African American, and I spent a lot of time with Tony. My wife just mentioned today they want to get together with us again. They live in Jacksonville now, but they come to Arizona. And I have asked Tony lots of really tough questions. Tell me, Tony, I don't understand. And that takes time, to get people to spend time with the neighbors that are different. When we went to my neighbor's Mormon service at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning, there's a lot of discomfort in me to go to a service like that because of what I don't know, some of the fear, the things that I've heard through the years. Things that are true, things that are not true. It's the second time that I've actually attended a service, and I sit there from my theological perspective. I pointed to something in one of the songs we sang, and I said to my wife, "That's Mormon." I won't tell you what that is, but I can see the difference. And for me to get over some of that stuff, I've got to acknowledge that there's racism in me, that there is dismay, that I'm really, I don't know everything, but I'm slightly more right than everybody else. Okay? And I have to recognize that. And those are not easy things for us to do as human beings. To step across the line and to say that my Sikh friend here, whom I've never met, actually has some things that it's not just about me helping him integrate with the American world, but it's about what he has to say to me. And can we open our hearts to that? And so it takes effort. Yes, let me just say this one thing, just speaking again of Jesus. The message in the Christian faith is that God became flesh, and he took the initiative in reconciliation. While we were yet enemies, God loved us and sent his Son. And taking the initiative in reconciliation is not an easy thing to do. And you can be embarrassed for it, you can lose friends over it, and you can get killed for it. But somehow, somebody has to be willing to do it.
And Ron, could you possibly, do you have to leave right now?
In about 5 minutes.
Okay, so, yes. Okay, so wait, because we want to hear your question as well. And thank you for your vulnerability. You just affected me. Like, I'm very verklempt now. Because it was authentic. We had a real authentic, beautiful, vulnerable moment. Thank you.
Okay, hi. First of all, unfettered free speech in Germany led to the murder of 12 million, not 6 million, but 12 million of all faiths and whatever. But I have a question. In this country, free speech is prohibited when you yell fire in a movie theater that's not on fire. You're not allowed to incite to riot or overthrow the government. By that measure, why would it be okay to from a pulpit, whether it be in a mosque or in this church in Tempe, to advocate the murder of groups of people? And would it not, as a minimum, if they're not prosecuted for inciting to do this, would it not be okay to remove the tax-exempt status of those who preach to murder?
Thank you. So who would like to respond to that? Because we also do have another question.
I'll just say, if he preached, if this guy had preached to his congregation, I'm putting a reward on, I'm putting an award on the head of our president, and I want you to go, I want somebody in this church to go kill him. He would end up in jail. There's no question about that.
I think somehow we have a Phoenix PD here. I think he just left it. Maybe if you ask this question, maybe I can ask that. Some of the law agencies, they have a biased crime, and there's some limited on those things. It is very, very limited. It's very hard to prove those things. And when we have a meeting with the Phoenix PD, and then they always have a concern about, they establish a bias unit on those things. But it's I think, very, very rare cases you can prove that it's legitimate or not. And it's very, very tough to go on that. And I don't know, how the law can protect those things. But recently, I was surprised. November 6th, I was in the White House, and the 5th anniversary of the one black person was killed in Texas, and he was put in a pickup to the death. You know, he was dragged to the death. And another young boy, high school young boy in Main Street, Matthew Shepard's. And the two-person family, I happen to have met them. And Obama administered, and they make a hate crime law 5 years ago. And then they invite me to come and speak on the 5th anniversary of this hate crime law. And I was surprised. We don't have any law before that. And when I talked to the head of the FBI and all the law enforcement, they say they have a law, but they don't have a big grip to get those people. They always get away with something. But this law gives them law enforcement to prosecute those people, which one I was really surprised. We have a law 5 years ago. And I think it'll be getting better and better. I go with hope, and I hope we definitely going to change in our future.
Thank you. Last question.
Thank you. First of all, I want to appreciate the panel for, in the most diversified way, you made a very wonderful point. Especially the point about love. You know, love is one magnetic power that holds this universe together. Every child that is being born in this universe, this planet Earth, love is embedded in every DNA of every child. What is prevent the child from expressing that love for all his life or her life would be those barriers. One of the barriers is prejudice. And the source of prejudice is blind imitation. When there's a blind imitation, prejudice is being created, and then through the prejudice, we start not liking and even hating someone. Okay, this is a fear of you are not talking like me, you don't believe the way I love, the way I talk, the way I believe, therefore I would hate. So that is a fear and embedded with prejudice. Now, you talk about education, this gentleman talked about education, but I believe education brings knowledge, but does not guarantee wisdom. And how do we bring wisdom in accompaniment with that love? Because there's a lot of psychological research in giving love with absolutely no restriction that cause so much problem in our society by giving the kind of love and give and give and give. It has to be monitored, disciplined, and give it some wisdom. And the last comment I would make, I do not ask questions because of time, but the comment is that if we ponder on this particular thought, a kindly tongue is a lodestone of the spirit. If we just learn that this tongue that has been created to bring magnetic power and a connection with people, then we will not abuse this tongue. We have the choice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been an outstanding panel and an outstanding faith forum today, and I'm so grateful again for each of our panelists for taking time to be here and discuss a really challenging topic. And I'm really have come away with so much understanding and also opening. And I love what, I'm just going to quote, share what you shared again, Reverend Gary, and that is when Reverend Gary got really authentic and really vulnerable and shared, there were probably little parts of us that could relate, even though we desire to come across as being the most loving people in the world. There are times when we're put in a comfortable position. And our question for ourselves is, how then do we respond? Do we let our discomfort be the guiding force, Or do we go to the faith traditions that we know? Do we go to the concepts that we know? Do we go to that and allow love to guide us? And can we stretch out our neighbor and go and learn more about them and extend peace? So, our next Faith Forum on 17th of February, because we've been talking so much about love today, because February is the month of love, the topic is if God is love, what are you? Most faiths advocate love, compassion, and service. How does your faith do this in a practical way? Do they take an active stance? How do you personally serve your community? Isn't this truly the golden rule in action? So stay tuned for that one, because that will be a wonderful topic as well. And I know that Dr. Paul has some announcements, and if you would like to greet our panelists, please do so, but please just allow us one moment after Dr. Paul gives his message so that we can get our photo, and please give them a round of applause again. And a huge thank you to all of you for being here today.
Yes, thank you, gentlemen. Panel members, wonderful. We handed out these sheets. I think all of you have one of these. I'd just like to ask you to look on the page that has the colors on it. The copper tone down here talks about our banquet that is coming up on April the 16th. You want to be sure to put that date on your calendar and be a part of the banquet on April the 16th. Now on the other side, at the lower half, is the Super Bowl of caring. I'm sure all of us know that February the 1st, how many weeks is that? 2 weeks from now, or 10 days, whatever it is, there's going to be a big football game. And if you'll notice on television, people have been saying they don't talk about the Super Bowl, they talk about the big game. When I was being interviewed 4 or 5 days ago, why management came to me and said, Paul, you cannot say Super Bowl because that's a copyrighted term. You can't say Super. You've got to say the big game, okay? So the big game is coming on February the 1st. But there is the Super Bowl of caring, spelled SOUP. Super Bowl of caring.
Oh, okay.
You got that? I've been trying to tell you that for the last 40 years.
Yes, I'm just trying to get this in their brains, okay?
You're close to being a Baptist, which means you've got no brains at all.
Love your neighbor.
Well, actually, Paul, I came from a Lutheran background, and
That's even worse.
There's a Bible verse about us. The dead in Christ will rise first. Yes.
Are you dead already?
Yeah,
Okay. Let's talk about this. 25 years ago, on the day of the football game in Columbia, South Carolina, in a Presbyterian church, the senior minister said to the youth minister, I want you to lead in prayer this morning. It was just before the service started. He didn't have any chance to really think about it. But these are the words that came out of his mouth. God, as we sit enjoying the Super Bowl this afternoon, help us to remember that there are millions that do not have a bowl of soup. That thought is nationwide now. Arizona Interfaith is meeting here in Arizona. The idea is we're asking every church, every synagogue, every mosque, every temple, every worship center in the state of Arizona to collect $1 from each worshiper on that day and send that money to the soup kitchen of their choice. We don't know how much compromise that would entail. But I'm asking all of you that are here, whatever church or synagogue or temple you are part of, tell your leader, your pastor, your priest, we want the youth to collect the money, and your church, your organization, can send the money to whichever soup kitchen they want. Now, if you don't have one in mind, on the back page of this brochure, on the bottom part, tells how you can do that. You can get it to the Arizona Association of Food Banks, and they will disperse it to the food banks that need the money. So we are hoping that you will be a part of that this year. Now also, you can see that there are different restaurants listed at the very bottom of the thing. If you will eat, when you eat this weekend, if you want to eat, at one of those restaurants, they will contribute money to the Super Bowl of Caring. It all raise money for the hurting and of Arizona. So I hope you can be part of that. Thanks for coming today, and thank you to the panel. And they will go over here and take a picture, and then any of us can take